save that template, get rid of it, and then open a drawing off of it so you got all these styles that are available to you. The big thing I really kind of want to point out here is we don't have the whole story here, right? If I do a dim diameter, okay, so when I throw it out, keep in mind I want some other things here, okay? Because I am an A personality type drafter and I hold on to that A personality. I want to cross my T's, I want to dot my I's. This thing needs to rewrite. This should be at 45 degrees, right? Should be a ½ inch off. You're still not going to get these in one click. You probably need to set up your snap points because there's no way to really control that. Okay, so how would I set that? I would basically, before I place this dimension, or you can do it after, I'm basically going to come in here and draw a line from the center of this guy, and I'm going to lock it in at 45 degrees, okay, and throw it out. And I'm probably going to do an offset of 0.5, throw that out, and then set my dimension accordingly. Okay, where I'd come in and make sure I'm setting that shoulder right on about that ½ inch. Okay, and then I'm deleting those out, my snap. I'm deleting out my 2 points I used to snap it. Okay? So keep in mind, we've still got to get those things taken care of. Now, with this, you can go from 30 to 60. With a little bit of practice, you'll be pretty good at getting 42 to 47 degrees, and you might be fine with that, as long as somebody can't recognize the difference. Now, the other thing we've got is we've got to do center lines on this stuff, too. We mentioned the dim sand. We've covered that one before, so I'm not really going there, but if you want to use the center mark command that works inside of the Mech 1 dimension style, and you're confused about it, come see me, and I'll walk you through the steps. I really think you want to go with the center mark option because that's where AutoCAD's trying to go with this, and again, it's just going to make your life easier with successive versions. Okay, so remember how we use center mark. Okay, we click on it, and then choose our item. It places those center marks. Am I done with it once I do that?
No.
No. Okay. Remember, we've got to get our tick marks and all of our stuff. And so you're then going to have to bring in your properties dialog box, click on that guy, and set all these sizes. So I come into my cross size, that's 0.125, right? My gap is a 16th, 0.06, and 0.12 is fine, the 2 decimal places for the rest. If I'm doing a radius, I just turn those off, and I'm left with the tick mark. This command is covered in chapter 18. Okay, I just wanted to, I would then do this one, diameter, I'm going to have my full ones. If I'm radius, I just turn them all off and get my tick mark in 8. Okay, and I'm good to go. So keep in mind you aren't done with what we're doing, but we do know this is going to be right. Now, the other component. The author covers how to locate off of those center marks. I'll let the author take care of it. Ask me any questions if you have problems with it. There's a whole page on it in chapter 18. How do I get all these values into another drawing? Folks, if you're struggling with these variables and where they sit, I would recommend, just like I did when we did the Mech one, open each template individually, reset them so it drives it home, right? You do it 4 times in a row, drives it home. There is another way to do this stuff, and that is using the Design Center. So if you open a drawing that doesn't have any of this, you can use the Design Center to grab dimension styles and children. So let's kind of show just how that is so we cover both ways. If you would, go to your Start menu and open a drawing no template.
A drawing
No template. So you should have that option, no template Imperial. Now you know this one has no dimension styles, no text styles, no layers, nothing, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff we use in our templates. Let's open the Design Center. So ADC. On the left is your file manager. What we want to go to is the template that you have all this stuff saved in. It might be your A template or whatever the case might be. So it should be under what? C, and then your name, and then didn't we do a templates directory?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to double click the template I've got all this stuff saved in. So conversely, it should be like C, Gabe, templates. Is that correct, the orientation? So C, Amy, templates.
Mine doesn't have that option.
Where do you save your templates? You want to go to that folder. Okay. Highlight your drawing. Once you've got, I've got my temp A highlighted. The design center says you got blocks, you got dim styles, layers, multi-layers, textiles, all this stuff set. If you double click into your dim style option, you're going to see all these dim styles.
I can't find my C drive on this. It'd be your local disk C?
Yes. Sorry, I tripped over that line. Yes, local disk C.
I don't know, dude. This is weird. Did you open a new template and everything?
Yeah.
Go up or down on this, and you should find all your drives somewhere. You want to go into C.
Did you find it?
Yeah, so it's right.
No. It's supposed to look like this.
Well, mine doesn't look
I
like
didn't know how
that.
that dim style.
I don't know why it doesn't.
I don't either.
I'm at one agreement.
Local C.
Oh, so you just have to-
Local C. My name.
Yeah, click on that one.
I have them all too.
All. Templates.
Drag that over.
A.
This is my, this is what's going on. I don't know.
Here, here, here. Okay, so.
I was really accurate, I didn't know.
Is that on the table? Should be somewhere on there? Put that. Template directory. Sean, did you find it?
Yes, I did.
Declan, you good?
Yeah.
So
And
we
then
go
we,
into our templates?
Go into wherever you saved all this stuff. Should be in your template.
Under A template.
I got it.
Where was it?
It was right here on the.
Oh. See, I clicked home.
Okay.
Ah,
All right, so you should see, if you did everything like I did, you got a Mech 1, Mech 3, Mech 4.
Yes.
The 3 is the diameter, the 4 is the radius.
Oh.
The Mech 1 is your parent, so parent, 2 children. Family's getting bigger. By the way, 2 children are easy. You go to 3, you move from a man to man to a zone. Underneath it.
Vasectomy.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
again, how do you get these in your drawing? Okay, I was gonna get all of them selected, left click, drag it into my drawing, it's there. I'll go back to that temp A, I need all my layers, just again to show you, I'm gonna get 0 all the way to X, drag them out in the drawing, they're there. Get your textiles,
were you dragging these two?
Just drop them.
Just dropping them on your drawing.
I just left click, hold it down, get out in that black area, let up. Now my drawing's done. And then my Mech 1, it's got all its children with it. I go to the home menu, I got all my layers, I got all my textiles, everything.
Wait, I don't know.
And then click on them,
Shift down.
click and drag, and then just drop them, left click, drag them over.
Click on the blue.
Drag and drop them into your current product.
Do that again. Okay, make sure to hold down. You can let go of the shift key. Click on the blue. Click and hold the blue and drag it.
Pick them up and drop them in there.
You gotta get all of them,
You can check them out.
Yep.
Go to your annotate ribbon and check.
Magic.
Or type D enter to get into your dim styles. If you have problems with the Design Center, I would reference you back to chapter 24, blocks. That's where the author went over it all, when we covered it back in 132. Yes, Dave?
So mine says it's there, but when I draw like the dimensions, it doesn't work. So is there something else you have to do?
No, there shouldn't be. So let me check it, and let's see if, I haven't checked it in 2009. I know 2018 worked out correctly. Okay, so I dropped all my dim styles in, and I can check that. The one thing you might want to do is you might have to set it current. Gabe, did you set it current? Because it might be defaulting to a standard or annotation dimension style.
Oh, there it goes.
That's solid?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, now, it's your choice on how you go about this. If you want to just drag and drop them all in, that's fine. Again, like I mentioned, if you're not really sure on which ones you're setting, I would really recommend you open each template individually, reset them all for your diameter and radius so the stuff sticks a little better, right? Multiple times you do it. All right, so I think we've covered all of that. Let's do one more thing, and I'm going to quit going through the text. Starting on page 519, moving from where they go to the multi-leader styles, if you want to grab your handout, we're going to run through this and you can set stuff up. So the multi-leader style starts right here where it says MLS, and then it comes through. You're going to see a lot of similarities here between multi-leaders and dim styles. Now, one caveat I just want to make sure you're clear on. The multi-leader styles, or the MLS command, is only, I think, 4 versions old now. It's a great command, I love it. But we used Q leader and leader before that. Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is if you go work for some outfit, many outfits are on older versions. They're never current. An example might be one of our bigger outfits in the state, Power Engineers. They never work with the current version. And mostly what they do is they buy the current version, it goes to a designer, and they customize it for their workplace. And it takes them a year or 2 to get it right. But the general workforce is out there working on version 2014 or 16 or something until they're ready to distribute it to the company as a whole. Right? So you never really know what version you're working on. EHM, I still know a drafter, a long-time drafter there, went to high school with the guy. He's still working on version 14, which was 1990, 2001. It was 99, 98, somewhere around there, 20 years old, and he's still using that version.
I was born in '98.
Yeah, that's older than somebody in this room. It was a great version. I love that version.
Is he doing that by choice or is that company?
He's doing it by choice. Okay, he's the only drafter in the whole place that does it, but he's the most senior one, so he gets to do what he wants.
So do all the people that work with him have to be on that same version too?
No, they can open it in newer version.
No, they can open it in a newer version. But keep that in mind, you do have this going on out in the workplace. So if you don't have that, then you're using QLeader, which works a lot like this. It's just a little more archaic. All right, so let's jump to CAD, and let's run through how we're going to set these up. So again, go to your annotate ribbon. And I don't know if you really need to take notes on this other than just making notes on your handout on where we're going to change stuff. So your multi-leader is this section right in here. So what we want to do is do the MLS, which again has got this little sideways arrow on the bottom. That's going to get you to the dialog box, or you can type MLS, either or. And it gets you to this box. Look familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like our dim style, right? All right, let's click on New. And let's give it the same thing. We're going to set it up for mechanical. Okay. So let's do mech 1. And yes, you can name them the same. It understands this is a multi-leader, not a dim style. You should make it annotative. Now, one last thing. In the dim styles, to click dim, that's dim anno, right? It's a variable.
Yes.
Here it's also a variable, but it's part of the MLS command. Okay, it's just an option in it. So there are no variables to learn here. You just got to know the check marks. You can't go to the command line and change this stuff. So we want it annotated. Hit continue. You got 3 tabs here: leader format, leader structure, and content. And let's start with the first one, leader format. Okay, we've got a straight one, that's good. We want everything by block, that references into the layer, that's good. Under arrowhead, do you see a problem there?
0.125.
125.
Yeah, it's 3/16 by default, and we need an 8. So 0.125. Now the leader break, again, usually we just leave that an 8. Again, there's a manual option on that. We'll cover that a little bit later. But I just leave that alone. So the only thing we've changed here is the arrowhead size. Let's go to leader structure. On leader points, I would recommend you leave it on 2. So when you place your leader, you're going to place 2 points. One for the arrowhead, one for the shoulder. That's 2. Okay, so what you're going to need when you click it is you're going to have 1 click there, 1 click there. It will automatically place the shoulder and put the text centered. Okay. So we can leave it on 2. Some people don't like having the shoulder automatically done. They'll set it for 3, and then it would be 1, 2, and 3 for the shoulder, but you got to turn all this off. Okay. I would suggest you just leave it on 2. Now you can set the angle on the multi-leader, okay, which is nice, because generally we want these at 45 degrees. I don't set it just because there's sometimes I don't go 45 and then I've got to edit it. But if you want to, click on your first segment and set your angle. This is totally up to you if you want it to run. I would suggest you play with it and see how it works over time for you. So I'm going to take mine off, and you can leave yours on if you wish. Okay, now, under the next one's the landing settings. This is your shoulder. If you're going with 2 points, you certainly want to automatically include it. If you're going with 3, you would say no. I'm going to include it, but the distance should be what?
0.125.
Again, an 8, 0.125. That's all we change here, because you'll see the annotation again coming up. Let's go to the content. This is kind of a fun one. We're going to come back and play with this one when we do blocks and custom arrowheads and all that stuff. We'll probably do those Friday, tomorrow or Monday if we get time. All right, so we want to have text so that we can edit our text. Text style, we want it, again, to reference into our text style. So instead of using the standard, which is wrong, I'm going to set mine to CSI 1. The angle, keep horizontal, unidirectional, right? That's what we want. On the justification, I wouldn't always left justify, because many times we pull leaders out the other way and we're right justified, right? Okay, we want both of those, and we have another option on that a little bit later. Frame text, this is only for a basic dimension, right? The theoretical perfect, we put a box around it. That's what that is for. You should probably never have that on a drawing with a leader. That would be a dimension, not a leader. Under leader connection on the bottom, we're going to do a horizontal attachment. Now, I don't know why they do this. They've got middle of top line or underline top line on the right attachment. Set those to both of the same, middle of top. Remember, the leader always points to the middle of the first line or the last line. You can set it to middle of bottom, but you can do it through the properties dialog box if you want it to read up. Okay. So this is just going to get you into most of your situations. Your landing gap, that's the gap between the landing and the text. Okay. That should be half your letter height, or 16. The last thing, they've got extend leader text on the bottom, check marked, take that off. We don't do that. Everybody there? Any questions?
Yeah.
Anybody need me to go back through any of those settings?
On
It's
the-
0.06.
Yes. Amy?
I was just saying 0.065.
Yep, landing gap,
16.
right there, half your letter height.
On
Sure.
the leader structure page, did you have annotators checked or not?
It was checked because I had an option right at the very start. If it isn't check marked in there, check mark it. You want this to be annotated. Any other questions? All right, let's say okay. Make sure you set that current. Let's go out on your screen and let's place one. So just click on your multi-leader button right here. You should have this type of look.
Okay, look at these, good one? Yeah. Look at it this way. No, that way. That's in the wrong.
No, you're okay. Just type it.
Oh, no, yours goes down.
That's because I drug up from my initial point.
Oh, it isn't, okay, so whichever way you go.
Yeah, it just goes whichever way you want. So you can have it this way. You can have it this way.
Ah,
I can have it this way. Man, I'm good at typing. So fast.
oh, I see. So-
Somebody stop me. When do you use this, folks? You can use it anytime you want. You can use it for dim diameter. You can do it for dim radius. Just type in your own stuff for it. You can use it for counterbores, countersinks, threads. Mostly we use it for identifying materials. You're going to find architectural and civil are all over this M leader command. Okay, some of the others, mechanical, they're using dim diameter, dim radius. But this thing is pretty powerful. You can basically do whatever you want. It will read no dimensions. It will place no symbols by itself. Okay. So it does not read the Cartesian grid. So if I use this for a diameter of whatever, I got to know what the diameter is and I have to type it in. If I change it, it's not associative with it. Okay. It's all a manual deal. Okay. But certainly I use it many times in place of dim diameter if I've got, a counterbore or something like this. Although I can do dim diameter as counterbore also. We have one other one we might as well set while we're here and set us up for our last assignment. Many times we use this when I'm pointing to a surface, okay, where I use splines. Okay. Let's go ahead and create one of these, and that way you can just drag and drop it if you use the design center into other drawings. Okay, so we call this Mech 1. That's got a straight leader line. Let's use a spline one. And let's go ahead and create it. So up on your multi-leader, open the MLS dialog box. Let's start with the Mech 1. So make sure it's blue and then say new. And I'm pretty inventive. I just call this my spline leader. Spline. Just hit continue. And let's start with the first tab. I'll wait just a second. Like people are right.
What's the first tab? Leader format?
Sorry, what's the most, or what's the other?
Yeah, leader format.
Certificate of arrows and spines too.
You have to go to make one new again?
Arrows.
Right?
What's that?
Make one new again?
Yeah, click on Mech 1 and then say New, and give it a name called Spline, S-P-L-I-N-E, and say Continue or whatever it does. Make sure on your leader format tab, under Type, we don't want straight. If you click that down, you're going to have a spline option. Choose that. Everything else is the same here. That's all we had to change. Let's go to leader structure. This one you need to do 3 points. Because notice as soon as you, one thing I'll point out, as soon as we chose spline, your automatic landing went grayed out. You can't set it. Okay? So we want 3 points right here to set this. That's it. Say okay, you're done. You should now have a Mech 1 and a spline multi-leader style. Okay, so I'm going to go back out to AutoCAD. I'm going to make sure spline's current. Click on my multi-leader. Your first point will be the arrowhead. Second point, your curve. Third point, you type your text. You should end up with something that looks like this.
Hmm.
We use this for surfaces, right? Now,